And are we doing things now, or rather are we not doing things now that we really need to be doing in preparation for the next pandemic?
You know, we are ready for the next pandemic, but it'll take tens of billions in R&D that the US and the UK will be part of that. It'll take probably about $1 billion a year for a pandemic task force at the WHO level, which is doing the surveillance and actually doing what I call germ games, where you practice. You say, okay, what if a bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports? You know, how would the world respond to that? What if a bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports? A bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports. A bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports.
This happens to be the very rare video 2 of 2. This is my second video of the day because I was sitting here thinking about a very bizarre, very strange plane story I covered about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I was just sitting here and this story randomly popped back up in my head. And I said to myself, let me see if there's any updates to this story. It's been about 2 to 3 weeks now, so I'm sure there's an update. And the story I'm talking about is the United Airlines flight being diverted after a biohazard was reported. This biohazard was so bad that the crew members were vomiting. And after the crew members started vomiting, passengers started vomiting. It was like that scene out of Family Guy when one person starts to vomit and then the next person starts to vomit, and then the next. The question happens to be, what caused the crew members to start to vomit in the first place? All we know from news and media is that there was a biohazard situation on the plane, a very bad one. We hear this recording from the pilot that he has to land the plane, and that's all we know.
I talked to the doctor and I talked to the crew, and it sounds like it's quite bad back there. It's still really bad. The crew is vomiting, and passengers all around are asking for masks, etc. And it sounds like I think 20-minute flight to Cleveland is probably the better option instead of going an hour and 40 to straight ahead to Boston. Especially with it kind of being a biohazard. I think we need to probably get this plane on the ground ASAP.
Now, I found this story odd for a couple of reasons. For one, in every plane story where a passenger defecates, urinates, or vomits on a plane, they will tell us what went down. News and media will tell us what the exact biohazard was. Because human waste, any type of human waste, whether it is defecation, urine, or a person's vomit, is considered a biohazard. So news and media and the airlines will let us know what took place on the plane. For instance, we are going to use United Airlines again as an example. Going all the way back to January 5th, 2018, there was a news article about how a United flight diverted after man defecates, vandalizes bathroom. Then there was a more recent story on August 9th, same airlines, how a passenger's dog defecated the aisle of the plane and the plane had to be diverted. Yet, again, when it comes to this story right here, when you try to look up the biohazard, you cannot find it. Matter of fact, what's even more bizarre is that there is no video footage of what took place inside the plane. You have this very chaotic scene going on in the plane. Nobody took any pictures. And again, nobody took any video footage. You may be saying nobody wants to take any video footage of a person's biohazard situation, but I have covered many of these very strange and bizarre plane stories, and you will be surprised. In almost every plane story where there is a passenger having an accident on the plane, there is always some kind of video footage of the accident or the passenger. What I also find bizarre is the fact that the plane landed and none of the passengers needed medical assistance. Now, it is said in multiple news articles that this passenger, they had a medical mishap. So you would think the passenger that caused this biohazard situation, they would be the ones that would need medical assistance. But again, none of the passengers, including the passenger that caused the situation, needed any medical assistance whatsoever. Now, again, this story could be something as simple as the passenger vomiting, defecating, or something along those lines. Yes, it could be something that simple. And they are still not explaining what happened for whatever reason. I guess they feel like they don't have to. But going back to that video I made 3 weeks ago, this is what I said in that video, and it's kind of funny because we have this whole MPOX situation going on right now. This passenger asked for a pillow. We don't know what happened before then. This story is also still new. Now, going back to this United Airlines story, yes, it could be something as simple as this passenger making other passengers sick because they became sick. But I can't help but feel that something sinister is happening on these planes. We are just seeing a rise of news articles as of 2023 where a passenger is spreading their bodily fluids on these planes to other passengers and is making them sick. Just look at this article from the Economic Times. Crew and passengers vomit mid-flight. Third mystery illness incident in 2 months. So they are talking about this incident that occurred on this United Airlines flight, but they're also saying this is the third incident involving a mystery illness in the span of 2 months. There is definitely a rise of illnesses being spread on planes. Somebody take me back to the more simple times of Tiffany G, where we had a person get up out of their seat, go to the front of coach, turn around, and say that MFer is not real. Now we have viruses, mystery viruses, being spread among passengers on planes. The Economic Times is saying in this article, last month in June, a United Airlines flight from Vancouver to Houston faced a similar situation when 30 passengers exhibited flu-like symptoms. Now, looking back at this United Airlines flight in June, where about 25 to 30 passengers became sick, these 25 to 30 passengers were among a larger group. About 70 passengers in total on this flight were on a cruise ship. Now, these passengers that became sick said they were not sick on the cruise ship. They were fine. They were fine during the ride to the airport. They were fine inside the airport. But they did not become sick until they were on the United Airlines flight. All of a sudden, during mid-flight on this United Airlines plane, these passengers became nauseous and then they became violently ill. Also in June, Condor flight DE2315 from Mauritius to Frankfurt saw 70 passengers fall ill with nausea and vomiting, prompting emergency services upon landing. So that begs the question, with the rise of these incidents going on where passengers are becoming mysteriously ill, where we have other news stories of these passengers' bodily fluids being spread all over these flights, are people being made intentionally sick? Could something be coming out of these planes causing people to become sick? Is there some kind of test or experiment going on? Because if these people do now have something or they're carrying something that made them sick on these planes, now they are spreading it to other people not on these planes. Now they are spreading it on the ground. So are we looking at some kind of test here? Some kind of weapon? Because these cases are just happening more and more. Don't get me wrong, I am not saying that whatever happened on this plane caused the outbreak, or what happens on any plane caused this outbreak. But I am just pointing out how interesting the timing happens to be. Not only that, I often wonder if something is indeed being sprayed inside these planes that are causing passengers to become ill. Or even perhaps a passenger or passengers may have something inside of them that may not be interacting well with what's ever being sprayed inside these planes. We have just seen an explosion of cases where passengers are becoming ill, they are spreading it all over the plane, causing other passengers to become ill, crew members are becoming ill, and who knows who these passengers and crew members are spreading it to when they get to the ground. Just 1 month prior to the C-19, on October 2019, we had Bill Gates running a simulation called Event 201, where people around the world, doctors, scientists, and so forth, came together to discuss what they would do if an outbreak were to overtake the world. Then 1 month later, we have the C-19. Flash forward to today, and where are we? We have Bill Gates talking about running simulations, what ifs, a weapon were to be used to spread certain outbreaks inside airports, passengers being sick on planes, and so forth. Does anybody not see how this is eerily lining up? Like I said, I just wanted to look back into this story because I found it very odd, very bizarre, and it's rather different from previous stories that I have covered that involved planes and biohazard situations. So I wanted to see if there was any updates, and come to find out, there were absolutely no updates whatsoever. But it kind of goes along with the whole lines of something is indeed being intentionally being sprayed inside planes and inside airports. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.
A bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports. A bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports.
A bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports.
So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.